Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be profiling a 60 card, I guess we'll call it Thunder, Chaos, Dragon, Link style deck. Essentially it's a Fairy Tale Snow turbo deck. I've played a lot of Thunder, Chaos, Dragon in the past, and being able to incorporate something like Snow is really strong. Obviously Snow was banned for a reason, and it kind of feels good to be able to abuse this non-once per turn effect in the current game. If you haven't seen Thunder Theories, another YouTube channel, his video is really insightful as to certain things you can do with Snow, and a lot of my Snow interactions, I guess. I've been able to just learn through watching his videos, so definitely a shout out to Thunder Theory. His videos are very insightful, but I wanted to just put my take out there and some of the things that I'm trying with the deck. So I'll get straight into it. Obviously the first card is going to be Fairy Tale Snow. It is the name of the game for this deck. This is a 60 card deck, so we've got lots of cards in the deck to mill and have in the graveyard so that Snow can banish 7 and do what it does best. So that's Fairy Tale Snow, shouldn't need much of an explanation. I've divided this up into engines. So the first engine is the Chaos engine. Currently my engine consists of double Chaos Creator, triple Chaos Valkyria, 1 black, 1 white, and the 3 Chaos Space. So I've opted for Chaos Creator. Obviously Chaos Creator is a very insane card, and in a deck like this it has so much value, being able to recur back banished cards, and it has a lot of synergy with our DPE package that we're playing. Now, I'm not playing the standard Celestial Dasher pair, so I mean, just by saying that, you should know what I might be talking about, but I'll get there when I get there. But opening up those bricks, as they would normally be, they kind of become combo pieces when you combine that with the Chaos Creator. So you get a lot of flexibility by playing the Chaos Creator, and at 2 copies I'm seeing it fairly frequently, I guess. I mean, we're in 60 cards, so it comes up though. We're playing 3 Chaos Valkyria. It's just another option to get Snow into the graveyard for a following turn if we can't access something like Curious, and black and white are Chaos staples. The current Thunder Dragon lineup is double Dark, double Raw, 1 Hawk, 3 Allure, 1 Thunder Dragon Fusion, 1 Gold Sark. I'm not really liking the Thunder Dragon Fusion, if I'm being honest, at the moment. Now the issue is that typically you want to search Hawk as your turn 1 because you don't have the vanilla Thunder Dragon, which you could play. There's 5 cards that are a bit of a flex spot, and I was originally playing the 3 vanilla Thunder Dragon just because the hand advantage that it provides is pretty good, and throwing monsters into the graveyard is always fine. But by not playing it, it means Thunder Dragon Fusion is kind of weak. It shines being able to put it in the graveyard and banish it to search the Chaos Creator as follow-up on the next turn, which is always really good to do. But if you've accessed Raw to summon Dark, Dark searches Hawk, well, actually, in that instance, you do. Oh no, so you're using your Dark Search on Hawk. So you've got 3 Thunder Dragons, yes, but you haven't searched Thunder Dragon Fusion. So if you want to search Thunder Dragon Fusion, after you've gone Raw and Dark, you only have the 2 available. So Thunder Dragon Fusion becomes follow-up on turn 3, but then the banish effect to search Chaos Creator is then only live on turn 5. So it's just a really slow process. So what I'm thinking is, and I don't actually currently have my cards at the moment, all my other cards with me at the moment, because where I live has flooded for the 3rd time in 3 years, which is a lot of fun. But I'm thinking of replacing this with a Thunder Dragon duo. It'll be an alternate search target, so it's still going to be the second target for Dark to search, and it still represents a big body. Fusion represents Thunder Dragon Titan on turn 3, so that does the same thing. Yes, I'm missing the follow-up in terms of what Thunder Dragon Fusion can do, but Duo has some neat effects too in battle, which could essentially do the same thing that Thunder Dragon Fusion would be doing. And then it's going to free up a spot in the extra deck, because the extra deck is quite tight. So swapping this for a duo gives me a spot where I wouldn't need to play Titan and I could play something else. So again, I'll talk about that a little more when I get to the extra deck. The dragons that we are playing is a fairly straightforward kind of dragon engine. This kind of engine can be played in lots of different decks, not just this pile, but it's 2 Tracer, Recharger, Absorata, Quick Launch, Boot Sector, Dragon Ravine. I mean, this is very self-explanatory. There's nothing really new and innovative in this kind of engine. Lots of decks can play it. These are the 5 cards that are definitely cuttable and interchangeable with other things. So I'm currently playing 3 Charge of the Light Brigade. I'm playing 1 Raiden and I'm playing 1 Felice. Now the Felice might seem a bit odd, but all of the ways that we mill in this deck, apart from Charge, are through monster effects. And both of these are tuners. So often the play is really awkward if all you can do is use Tracer's effect to lock you out of darks. It's really awkward playing with just the darks because often there's things in your, like, you can still make plays of course, but a lot of your power comes from being able to use other attributes in your extra deck. So Felice being a millable tuner that will just summon itself for free is really great. Raiden of course is a normal summonable tuner if that's what you need to do. We're not typically normal summoning Raiden. We've got other normal summons that we'd rather be normal summoning in the deck, but Raiden can come up in a pinch if you need it to. That's why I'm not playing 2. I'm playing the Felice instead, because Felice becomes another thing that you can mill off Curious to guarantee that it summons to the field. It just gives you something else that you can hit off something like Chaos Ruler as well, that will just throw itself onto the field. It's a tuner, and it is just a little bit helpful at times. So that's why I'm playing those. The extra tuners are really nice. Our next little engine is the Sacred Beast engine, which is 3 Dark Beckoning, 1 Chaos Summoning, and 3 Opening of the Spirit Gates. So this combo sets up Curious, using a normal summon and a discard, but there's lots of cards in our deck that we don't mind discarding and get value. So we'll talk about the dangers next, but we get a lot of value through these cards, and being able to establish Curious is really nice. Nothing too much to say about them, but they just make Curious, and that's their job. Playing 3 Nessie, a Tsuchinoko, and a Jackalope. Potentially a 3rd Nessie is a potential cuttable card. I'll talk about some other cards that are cuttable and some things that you could replace them with later down the line, but definitely a Nessie is something that you could potentially cut. Now for the Destiny Hero engine. So if you didn't already work it out, playing double Mally, 1 Denier, and the 2 Fusion Destiny. Now it seems counterintuitive to add extra bricks to the deck, but they offer a lot of versatility that sometimes the Celestial Dasher doesn't necessarily add. You can open these and potentially, depending on what you open and how you open the bricks here, you can still make plays and do things that you wouldn't be able to do necessarily with Celestial and Dasher, because they do have relevant effects. Going into turn 3, Denier and Mally represents 2 bodies. So your follow-up here is different to a draw 2. It's not a draw 2, obviously, but it's 2 bodies, because Denier can return a Mally if you've not gone through them, and then Mally can obviously summon a Mally. So it represents 2 bodies in itself, which is really it's quite nice. The other thing I really like about having 3 Destiny Hero pieces is it doesn't matter if we mill 1 piece. Obviously this is a milling, this deck does mill a fair bit through Chaos Ruler, through Curious. So if you mill 1 piece of the Destiny Hero package in the traditional package, obviously it ruins it. But by having 3, yes, it's adding an extra brick, I know, but we're still playing 60 cards. If we mill 1, it doesn't feel so bad. And often when you mill 1, depending on, again, what the rest of your hand looks like, things like, again, the Chaos Creator help to, they can put things back into the deck and fix it up. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Destiny Hero Mally and Denier as my Destiny targets. And it's working out really well so far. The next cards are my hand traps, or my going second cards. These Phantasmes should definitely be droplets. I have finally ordered some droplets, so they will be here soon, and I will be replacing the Phantasmes with those. And then I've got Gamma Driver, and I'm playing one Lancia. The one Lancia is my, I'm playing Dagda, and I'm going to side deck, I'm side decking Scythe. So by having Lancia in the main deck, it's obviously only a one-off hand trap, but you can see it sometimes and set it off of the Dagda, and it's not always going to come up, but if it doesn't, you can adapt your end board. So the end board would typically represent 3 snow summons, or you can sacrifice a snow summon to do the artifact things. So depending on if you know what your matchup is, and if you hold your disruptions until your opponent has started to play the game, rather than just shotgunning Scythe in the standby phase, you can kind of gauge whether or not you need to be popping the Lancia, because you don't necessarily always need to pop Lancia. You could just let it sit there, let it get destroyed in the end phase per Dagda's effect if you know that you don't need the banish effect. Phantasme is not an interesting card that we could play, but going back to just really quickly the charge and the Lightsworns, and then here's the third Nessie. So these cards here are replaceable, they're cuttable. Potentially all 6 of these slots could be additional hand traps or disruptive cards. Even a card like Dark Ruler wouldn't be a bad pick. I mean, obviously it doesn't play very nicely with Scythe around, but it's still a really strong card that can help you to break boards going second. But yeah, these 6 cards could be just any other disruptive cards that you want to play. Alternatively, something I feel like I'm missing maybe is Chaos Dragon Levianeer. That's a card I really like. I'd potentially find room for 1 copy, even if the Nessie just became 1 copy of Levianeer, because the Thunder Dragon fusion that we're playing can become 1 copy of Duo, which is again just another level 8 chaos monster that can summon itself to the field. But still, that would give us 5 more additional slots. I mean, it could be the second and third Lancia plus 3 something else. Talents wouldn't be a bad idea. So Talents, Droplets, Gamma, Lancia as your 12 going second cards feels pretty good as well. But that's those. I'll get into the extra deck. The extra deck is, of course, Chaos Ruler. This card's insane, does everything you want it to do. 1 DPE, 1 Thunder Dragon Titan. I would, again, if I was to test a little bit more and decide that I want to swap out the Titan, which I'm very much leaning towards, I would potentially swap it out for the Vampire rank 8. I know it mills cards for the opponent, which is generally a bad thing to do. But it does represent bodies in itself, and it does have some pretty good effects. Plus, additional mills are not always a bad thing, so that's my consideration. I feel like I wouldn't mind a rank 8, just 1 rank 8, and I'd like it to be a dark monster, because playing with the Tracer Lock, if I need to, that's something I'd like to play. I'm playing 1 Underworld Goddess, so I'm not actually playing a finisher monster at the moment. I swapped it out for Underworld Goddess. You can put bodies on the board very, very easily, and Underworld Goddess is an insane piece of removal if you can get there. Plus, going first, it kind of insulates your going first board by giving IP something really strong to go into that's not just Unicorn, because typically you're getting to Appaloosa as your end board, not as something that you're going to IP into. If you're dark locked through Tracer, then yes, you're going to generally go into Appaloosa, because if you set up IP Verte, you're going to IP and Verte into Appaloosa. But yeah, so Underworld Goddess just becomes something a lot stronger to be able to IP into. I'm a huge fan of the card. Playing Curious, as I've mentioned already, Nightmare Unicorn is great. Masquerainer and Verte, Dagda. These are all cards that more or less can be assumed are in the profile based on what we've seen so far. Romulus Descend Ravine. This proxy is a Dark the Dark Charmer, but unfortunately the flooding has affected mail deliveries. Striker Dragon. Link Karibo and Anima. Link Karibo and Anima are essential for the Curious play to set up with the Sacred Beasts. I don't have a side deck on me. The only card I do have is Scythe, which I mentioned I was siding. It's a, going first guarantee. If you know that you're guaranteed going first, you can definitely just Scythe lock your opponent, which is great. I'll do a couple of test hands just to show you kind of what the deck can do. Okay, so getting ready for test hand number 1. I think we are good and shuffled. The 60 is clunky to shuffle. All right, we are going to draw Driver and Jackalope, Chaos Creator, Chaos Space, and Nessie. Okay, so this is going to rely on a bit of RNG to get some plays going, but we should be able to do some things with this. We'll start with the Chaos Space. We'll get rid of Driver. And we'll grab our Black Dragon Collop Serpent. Now we'll banish Driver to summon Black. We'll link it off for the Striker Dragon. We'll activate Striker and Black to search for our white and boot. Next, we'll summon out white by banishing Black, and we'll do the Chaos Space thing, put back Black, and draw a card, Thunder Dragon Fusion. Okay, so that's not really that good. I mean, it's a card that we can discard off of a danger to do some cool things. We'll just get in the graveyard and set it up for next turn. Yep, so we'll turn those into Romulus. We'll activate white to search for Black. Of course, Romulus to search for Dragon Ravine. Okay, from here we can activate Dragon Ravine. We can use Dragon Ravine to pitch Jackalope and send the Absorrouter to the graveyard. Absorrouter and the Jackalope will both get their effects. So we'll summon out a Nessie and search for a Tracer. All right, from here, we'll go and activate the Boot Sector launch. And we'll summon out the Tracer from our hand. We can pop the Boot Sector launch, summon out our Recharger, actually, no, we'll think on that. Actually, we'll slow down a second. What we might try and do actually is, before we just go for that, is we might try and establish just a little bit more before we go and dark lock ourselves, just like that. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll actually summon the Chaos Creator first by banishing a dark and a light. We're going to banish the Jackalope and the White Dragon Wyver Burster. So now when we use the Chaos Creator's effect, we'll target, of course, all three of these. We're going to be summoning the Jackalope and returning Driver and White to the deck. Because this now sets up Curious, and of course is a much better thing to do than the Dark Lock. So get Curious. Curious will send Snow. And we will mill 3 for Curious. Okay, that's not bad. Chaos for Curious good because we can use this now to access some Thunder Dragon plays as well if we don't see them off Absurata. Now we will we'll link up to Appaloosa. Typically Appaloosa for 2 is usually what we do because it's usually Curious plus something else. We'll go Appaloosa, and now we don't have really any issue with Dark Looking here. So we'll trace a Pop Boot, summon Recharger. And Synchro, Chaos Ruler, milling 5, Mally, Driver, Valkyria, Beckoning Beast, and Allure of Darkness. Now, yeah, we haven't actually normal summoned here at all, but as for what we will take, probably take the Beckoning Beast anyway, because yes, we haven't normal summoned. I know we've already made Curious, but this represents a couple more bodies, so we can do more things with it. So that's what we'll add there. Again, Millie Mally, not an issue at all. We're not going to use it because we've already used Chaos Creator. We still haven't accessed our Thunder Dragons yet, so, and we're not going to be able to use them this turn because of Valkyria's restriction on what it sends, but it will at least get it into the graveyard for when we use Snow. So from here we can now normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast. We will add Spirit Gates, and we'll activate Spirit Gates to search for the Summoning Beast. We get an extra normal summon because of Beckoning Beast, so we can normal summon our Summoning Beast. Now, thinking of where we need to go here, we want to establish now IP, Verte, and Dagda, these 3. So, what we shall do is we'll get Chaos Ruler and Summoning Beast. Can turn them into Dagda. We can bring back Chaos Ruler by banishing Valkyria and just Phantasme. Summon it back to the field. We're going to use thinking on what so we can use Opening of the Spirit Gates to discard either of these to bring back the Chaos Summoning Beast. And actually, just jumping back a step before we make Dagda, we'll link off the Chaos Summoning Beast for Link Karibo and then go into Dagda, because it's just going to put an extra card in the graveyard for Snow. So we should have done that before we linked off into Dagda. So link into Link Karibo, then link into Dagda. There's not really any reason not to do it. So by pitching Nessie, we get to search Tsuchinoko, which of course is a guaranteed body on the field. We've got our 2 bodies here, and we can revive one here. So there's all of our bodies, and it keeps Dagda on the field, which is it's fine. So we'll discard Nessie in order to bring back our Chaos Summoning Beast. Again, you can choose to link this off if you want to into Anima. I'm going to just again put an extra body into the graveyard. That's going to trigger the Nessie. Nessie's going to search for Tsuchinoko. We could choose to use Snow as our fourth body, because we've obviously got Anima and Beckoning Beast makes Verte. And the Tsuchinoko would represent the next body for IP. We could use the Snow to do that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One thing we forgot to do is mill off that Chaos Valkyria. So in a game we're not really taking that back, but we'll throw a Raw into the graveyard. Could be dark either way, Raw or dark. So that's there as follow-up. So, but as far as Snow fodder, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So we can currently use Snow 3 times. We will, in that case, use the Tsuchinoko. So we'll activate Tsuchinoko. We know that we're going to be summoning the IP, but we'll put that to the side for a minute. We'll shuffle this up, and just whatever card is on the bottom, we shall mill. Ideally, we don't hit the Black Dragon Collop Serpent. Thunder Dragon Fusion would be the best. Ooh, we're just that good. So we hit Thunder Dragon Fusion, summon Tsuchinoko, and we get to draw 1. Okay, so this Nessie does nothing because we've already seen all of our Nessies. It's just a body next turn potentially. But hitting this is great because this represents, again, another piece of follow-up. Chaos Rule is going to get banished, Tsuchinoko is going to go to the graveyard, and IP will summon. Then finally we can, of course, activate Verte, trigger Dagda. Setting Lancia. We don't know if we're going to need this or not, depending on the matchup that we're playing, assuming this is a game 1 situation. Sending our Mali, our Destiny, and the Denier. To the graveyard, which of course will summon out our DPE. We can't really play around Super Poly because we've got IP, Verte, and DPE on the field, so we'll just leave it there. Now, so what this kind of represents here, already between IP, Verte, Dagda, we've established the Underworld Goddess, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and our opponent's monster. Alternatively, we kind of say, the good thing about IP is we can use IP and DPE, both of them can put Snow back into the graveyard. So hypothetically, going into our opponent's turn, we can Snow once, book something, DPE, pop Snow and something else. We can Snow a second time. IP Masquerena can put them away, probably leave the Dagda on field. We can put these away plus one of their monsters to bring out Underworld Goddess. We can Snow for a third time because we've got at least 21 cards in our graveyard. Also, like thinking along the way, we can of course trigger Raw, which puts Dark on field. There's lots we can kind of do, and then we end with the Snow there. If we needed to pop Snow and Lancia with DPE, we could have done that as well, rather than popping one of our opponent's monsters. And then to show follow-up, we've got Denier, Malicious. Now, depending on if we had to banish the Malicious or not, we had enough cards in the graveyard where we didn't actually need to banish this Malicious, and we could still use Snow 3 times. So what would happen is, because we've got a Destiny Hero on the field or graveyard, going into the next turn, Denier summons out, it stacks a Mali, and then we're free to banish a Mali and bring out a Mali. Now, of course, in this current situation, our extra deck We've used a lot of resources to get to this point, assuming that this is obviously assuming that we go completely uninterrupted. And if we go completely uninterrupted, we win the game. But we don't currently have a big body to go into. That could also be what the Titan is. So if I didn't play the zombie rank 8, the Titan could just represent an access code talker, just to guarantee finishing the game. But we're already playing so many big bodies that we don't necessarily need the finisher, because even now, going into our opponent's turn, knowing that we can still banish Thunder Dragon Fusion, sorry, as far as follow-up is concerned, there's our 2 bodies, there's a body. Raw has summoned Dark, Dark has searched either the Hawk or the Duo. If we were playing Duo, not playing Fusion, depending, well, obviously can't have Duo and Fusion because we're not playing both. Chaos Valkyrie can put another thing in the graveyard, but there's a lot of follow-up through the Mali and the Thunder Dragons, plus Snow being able to recur itself. And then we also had black in hand, and we'd already put white back in deck earlier with the Chaos Creator. So hopefully you can kind of see the power of the deck. It's really fun just playing out your hand, comboing off. It's a really fun deck to play, and I'm looking forward to being able to get to locals once I'm actually physically able to get there and see how it all plays out. But otherwise, I'll leave it there just because this was a longer test hand, just because the deck does a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.